الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وشفيع المذنبين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين غاصبي حقوقهم منكري فضائلهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد وقوله الحق: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فأقم وجهك للدين حنيفا فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها لا تبديل لخلق الله ذلك الدين القيم ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون. صلوات الله. Before I begin my talk, would like to request all of you to recite Surah Fatiha for the marhumin of Bhimani family and Kalawadia family. Bismillah ar-Rahman. Please recite salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We have reached a stage that we are discussing very sensitive and important issues in history. And as we discussed what happened right after the demise of the Holy Prophet, and how the second Caliph, he was behaving in a very suspicious way, and his drama and the chaos he created. So I pointed out the reason behind this behavior, and we actually went through many narrations and historical documents and evidences which gave us a better understanding for why this person was behaving in this manner. There is another aspect to this, and one other reason which again gives us a more clear understanding for why. For the one reason that I mentioned yesterday, that he wanted to buy more time so that he can pledge this allegiance with the first caliph, which was not present at that time. There is a different reason also for this behavior. Now, we all know and we discussed that people during those days, at the time of the Holy Prophet, they knew the superiority of Amir al-Mu'minin. It was very clear for them that right after the Prophet, who is the most superior person, people knew about it. And they knew that Ali ibn Abi Talib is the only one who is superior enough to take up the responsibility what Rasulullah had. So they knew his excellency, they knew his superiority, and they knew his perfection, they knew his qualities and virtues. And at that time, when I hope you relate yourself now, I'm not going to go into discussing what we did yesterday. Right after that moment, when this news was spread all over, that Rasulullah is no more, he's dead, he's gone, we see one scenario, that the second caliph is behaving in this manner, yesterday I told you. And we again see a different thing, that the most important of all companions, who were very renowned, and they were actually the top-notch companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they started gathering. Please recite salawat. They started gathering around Amir al-Mu'minin as if they wanted to pledge allegiance to him. So, and these people were not small people. It was Ammar, it was Hudayfa, it was Salman Muhammadi, it was so many other people who started gathering around Amir al-Mu'minin, and they started inviting people to come
to come closer and to come and gather around Amir al-Mu'mineen. This was again a second reason, and another reason for that behavior which we saw yesterday, how he was behaving. He wanted to buy more time. And it was very concerning for those people who had already planned that what they will be doing after Rasulullah's demise. And the Muslims in those days, actually, what is the fact is that the Muslims, majority of the Muslims, they did not know how to react to this scenario and to this circumstance. The Rasul is no more. They did not ever experience such a thing, such a phenomenon to go and elect someone and to follow someone other than Rasulullah. So they were confused. They were in a very disturbing mental state and they did not know what to do. They saw people going here and there. They saw people pledging allegiance to somebody and they saw people gathering around Amir al-Mu'mineen. And that was the time which was very sensitive. And this fellow, he started claiming that the Rasul, and he started denying that the Rasul is not dead and he is alive. He has fainted. He will come back like Hazrat Musa. He came after 40 days. So this was one more reason why he was acting in this suspicious way. And I told you it was very important, and it is right now very important for us to know that at the time of the Holy Prophet, it was unprecedented. There was no dispute on this issue that right after Rasulullah, Amir al-Mu'mineen was the most superior one. He was the most afdal. Afdaliyat Amir al-Mu'mineen was very well known. And to counter this narrative, they came up with this idea of fazilat ala tartib al-khilafa, which I told you yesterday. That they came up with this idea of the superiority according to the sequence of caliphate. And they said that they actually wanted to counter the superiority of Amir al-Mu'mineen. They did not have anything better than this. They couldn't ever challenge the virtues and the qualities of Amir al-Mu'mineen. His adalat, his ilm, his wisdom, his hikmat, his piety. No one could stand against him. They had no chance. So they had to come up with a better solution. This was their solution. And I would today want to mention another very important thing, which is there in history. And it will again give us a clear understanding what was happening in those days. Now I told you, remember, he was very superior and there was no doubt in that. Now, to come to that point, I would like to just give you a preface of what I want to tell you. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed His religion upon the Holy Prophet, and the Prophet started preaching the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how people need to live their lives and to abide by the jurisprudence of Islam. People started calling these beliefs to be Islam. And then later on, they gave this religion another name. There was another terminology used to recognize Islam, that was Deenullah. Okay? There was nothing very surprising about this, because all of you have heard Deenullah, Allah's religion, the religion of Allah. It was very common to be used. And they would use, instead of Islam, they would say Deenullah. And it is mentioned in many other narrations. And it was not surprising for anybody. But as Rasulullah preached Islam, and as he started sacrificing, and he started giving everything what he had, and started spreading the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rasulullah associated himself with Islam so much that people again gave a different phrase, a different term to this religion. They started knowing Islam and Deenullah by the name Deenu Muhammad. Okay, now are you with me? Remember, these are very important terminologies. Islam was known as Deenullah, and later on it was known as Deenu Muhammad. Why? Because Rasulullah was the only person who was on the front. He was preaching Islam. He was teaching the teachings of Islam. He was spreading Islam. He was sacrificing for it. And alongside Rasulullah, who was the one giving sacrifices? Who was the one bearing all the hardship? Who was the one shoulder to shoulder going along with Rasulullah spreading the word of Islam? It was none other than Ali ibn Abi Talib. And later on, people came to know this belief and this religion, and they started calling this religion as Deenu Ali. This is very important. The Islam in those days was known as Deenullah, and it came to be known as Deen Muhammad, and later on it was also known as Deen Ali. Why was it known as Deen Ali? Why were people in Muslim calling Islam as Deen Ali? The Deen of Ali, the religion of Ali. Why? Because Ali associated himself so much to the beloved Rasul that people understood Deen by the name of Ali. People started getting their deen with Ali. It was not after Rasulullah. At the time of Rasulullah, also people used to consult Amir al-Mu'mineen. They used to gather around Amir al-Mu'mineen. And people at the time, there were companions right at the time of Rasulullah who were known as Shia to Ali. So this was the superiority and this was the position of Amir al-Mu'mineen at that time also. That Islam was known by the name of Ali ibn Abi Talib. It was called Dino Ali, and there was no surprise for the people. So it was so obvious for people to differentiate, and later on this term was used so much in history that they differentiated the people of Ali and the people of Muawiyah and people of Usman. People who were following Usman, people who were following Ali ibn Abi Talib. These were the terms, my dear friends. Why am I mentioning this? Because we should know that Ali ibn Abi Talib was not an insignificant person, as we are being told these days. We hear these things, but this is wrong. Ali ibn Abi Talib was famous for his significance. He was right next to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the only person who was eligible to sit in the position of Rasulullah. And we have so many instances in the history, and history has recorded all these instances. And this term was used in the battle of Jamal. There was a person by the name Amr bin Yathrabi. Amr bin Yathrabi came out in the battle of Jamal from the side of Aisha, and he came out and he called, he shouted and he said that, I am here to kill the people who are on Dino Ali. And I'm aqtuluka ala Deen Ali. I'm here to kill those people who are on Deen Ali. Why he was saying on Deen Ali? Because he knew and people knew that the companions and the people who are against Aisha is the lovers of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And it is not something confusing. They knew that the Deen Ali was same as Deen Muhammad, and Deen Muhammad was same as Deen Islam. So this is how people regarded and people differentiated each other in those days. Ali ibn Abi Talib was a person of fame. People knew him. They understood his position. And this is how this person calls upon the lovers of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and he challenges who dares to come, and I'm here to kill the people who are on Deen Ali. And then Ammar goes and answers his call, and he says that I am on Deen Ali and I will fight you, and he goes in the battlefield and kills this person. This is how the companions used to introduce themselves, that I am on Deen Ali. So Amir al-Mu'mineen was not an insignificant person. He was very well known for his position, which was next, right after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there is another instance where we see there's a person, Ziyad bin Ubay. Now I don't want to talk about Ziyad bin Ubay. He was a very wicked person. It is just enough to understand that Muawiyah especially appointed him to kill the lovers of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And he killed thousands of people who were the lovers of Amir al-Mu'mineen and lovers of Ahlul Bayt. And it is just enough to understand his cruelty, that at the time of his birth, there were 4 men claiming him to be his son. This is how this person was. Now he writes to Muawiyah, and he says that كتب إليه في حق حضرميين أنهم على دين علي. He writes to Muawiyah and he says, what should I do with these people? Hadramiyin are the people who are from Hadramut. It's a place in Yemen, and at the very beginning, they were the lovers of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The people of Yemen, the Muslims in Yemen, they started believing right from the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen. They were introduced to Islam by Amir al-Mu'mineen. And they were very unique. They had good position with Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. This person writes and he asks Muawiyah that what should I do with these people of Hadramiyin because they are on Deen Ali. Why is he using this term? Why is he using this term? Because this term was very famous. Deen Ali was same as Deen Islam. Deen Ali was same as Deen Muhammad. People knew that people who are following, the group who is following Ali ibn Abi Talib are following Deen Ali, which is Deen Muhammad, which is Deen Islam. This was the term famous and commonly used for the lovers of Ahlul Bayt. And then Muawiyah replied and he said, فَكَتَبَ إِلَيْهِ Muawiyah اُقْتُلْ كُلُّ مَنْ كَانَ عَلَى دِينِ عَلِي. Kill all of those people who are on Deen Ali. This is recorded. These are on the record. And it is in history that he's writing in this manner. This is his verdict. Go kill them. Go kill them. And he started killing brutally. He was a very savage person. And then again, we again see in different instances, Hilal al-Jamali. Maybe it is said that it was on the day of Ashura, or might be in other battlefields, on other battlefields. Ibn Hilal comes out, and I'm telling you again and again, the lovers of Ahlul Bayt are also introduced themselves with this phrase and term. Either they used to say that we are Shi'atu Ali, or they used to say we are on Deen Ali. We are on Ali's religion. We are following Ali's religion, which is the religion of Islam, which is true religion. And he comes out and he says, Ana ibn Hilal al-Jamali, Ana ala Deen Ali, wa deenuhu deenun Nabi. I am Hilal al-Jamali. I am on Deen Ali, and which is Deen Nabi. That is what he was claiming. Don't misunderstand. Deen Ali is nothing different from Deen Nabi. This is how it was famous. This is how people used to introduce themselves. This is why we today sit here and we talk about history to get better understanding of what we are today, so that we can gain more knowledge and increase and deepen our faith and make our faith stronger. This is how the followers of Ahlul Bayt, and even Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, Abi Abdullah alayhi salam, qala, on the day of Ashura, he said, Antum wallahi ala. This is the reason I'm telling you that Deen Ali is nothing other than Deen Muhammad, and Deen Muhammad is same as Deen Allah, Deen Islam. Imam says, Antum wallahi ala Deen Allah wa Deen Rasulihi wa Deen Ali ibn Abi Talib. Imam says to his companions that rest assured that you are on Deen Allah, you are obeying Allah's Deen, you are following Islam, that is same as Deen Muhammad, and which is same as Deen Ali. So this is how commonly this term was used. This is how people were introducing themselves. That is why I am claiming that, and I'm stating that again and again, and emphasizing on this point, that Amirul Mu'mineen had a great significance. He was a very significant person. Right after Rasulullah, who was to be followed? It was none other than Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam. And people were there following Amir al-Mu'mineen. It is not true to say that nobody was following Amir al-Mu'mineen. Yes, they were quiet, because Rasulullah directed Amir al-Mu'mineen to stay quiet for the sake of Islam, so that Islam does not get spoiled, get destroyed by these people in their hands. And this is why people deviated. And this ayah which I am reciting every day almost, which says that وَأَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, and most of the people don't understand this deen of fitrat. This deen, which is the deen of nature. Humankind is built and is originated on this nature. But they are confused. Why are they confused? I'll give you a quick example and move on with my discussion. See, in today's day-to-day life, when we go out, we want to shop something, we want to buy something, we are after a brand. Okay, we are after something to buy a good brand, a good, I don't know, maybe a watch, maybe a shoe, maybe a pair of shoes or clothes or something, a perfume. Now we know that there are good famous brands and they're very costly. So people who have money and who can afford to buy original items, they will go and buy those original items and pay the cost and bear the price. But there are still people who want to get a taste of what is original thing, but they don't have enough money, they will go and buy the duplicate one. So you have in the market the original brand and you have a copy of that. You have a duplicate brand, which is way more cheaper and bad in quality than the original one. But nowadays there is a third thing, and which is very interesting. You might know this phrase. And this is something between original and fake. They call it a high copy. Are you familiar with this term? They call it a high copy. What is a high copy? High copy is basically something between original and a fake one. And this high copy is so close to the original one, and you might also find the difference in the price also. Now, I'm not talking something out of my discussion. I want to relate this example, just for the kids here. You will find something of $1,000, which is original, which is of the original brand, and you will find a fake copy in the market, which might be $50, $100. But you have a high copy, which is closer to the original item, to the original commodity, and it is higher in price also. It might be ranging between $500 to $700. But now, people who cannot afford that original item, and they don't even want to buy the fake item, they will go after this high copy. This is what is happening today, right? So they will go after this high copy. And it is very, very difficult. Before it was very easy to differentiate, and still now it's very easy to differentiate between the original and the fake. You can understand very clearly this is original and this is fake. This is duplicate. But it is very difficult to differentiate between the original and the high copy. Because it is high copy and it is different from the fake one. What was actually happened? This is the mindset of the layman, of the people, ordinary people in day-to-day life. People cannot differentiate between high copy and original thing. Okay? What was happening in those days? People wanted to bring something parallel to Ahlul Bayt, and they wanted to introduce people who were copying Ahlul Bayt and who wanted to challenge the superiority of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, and they started imitating in that manner, and they wanted to project themselves that we are the original ones, but they were the high copies. They weren't the original ones. Like for instance, I will start with Yazid. Yazid was not a Muslim. It was clear he was not a Muslim. He was not even the fake one. It was clear. Muawiyah, he was acting in a way that people were confused. Still now, people are confused. But later on, it was obvious that he was faking Islam. He was not actually practicing Islam. That was a fake copy. That was really a fake copy. Nobody. Now, there are so many people are understanding that we shouldn't follow him because he was faking. That was duplicate. And likewise, as you go up and you ascend, in this sequence of Khilafah, we have so many people who faked themselves and wanted to become the high copy. And now Muslims are confused between the original Islam and the high copies. And people, because high copies are usually easy to find, they are easy accessible, and they can be approached easily, and people tend to go to them because they're easily accessible. That is why today people are following these high copies. They are not following the original copy of Islam, which is Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. Ali is the only original Islam. Dino Ali means Dino Nabi, and Dino Nabi means Dinullah. This is original Islam. Anything other than Dino Ali is fake. You might call it a high copy. You might not differentiate between what other caliphs taught you. And this sequence is actually, it was bought to confuse people, to introduce between people, and to make them parallel to Ahlul Bayt, to challenge Ahlul Bayt and their superiority. But people of understanding and of good faith, and people who are very firm in their beliefs, they understand, that in the same manner, a trained eye will, in the first sight, will determine and will know which is duplicate, which is original, which is high copy, and which is original brand. This is how the mu'mineen will understand better which is original deen and which is fake deen. And in today's time, the majority of people are following these high copies. They don't know. وَأَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. This is what Quran says. They are after high copies. But you in day-to-day's world need to pay a higher price to buy our original brand. Therefore, we, the Muslims, the Shias, the followers of Ahlul Bayt, we have paid the price of following Ali ibn Abi Talib. All through the history. We have paid the price. By our blood, by our lives. And the price is still being paid. And this is not something we got it easily. We bought it cheap. No. We have paid the price and we hold it close to our hearts. And we will not let go this easily. Because we are still paying the price. And if you need the original deen, the deen which is for your salvation, for your takamul and for your perfection, you have to choose the original deen. The original version of Islam. You cannot go for the high copies. This is not the matter of life and death. It's more crucial and important. It is the matter of hereafter. It is the matter of our salvation, our perfection. And this is what was happening in those days. Now, anybody who tried to imitate Amir al-Mu'mineen, anybody who tried to claim the qualities of Amir al-Mu'mineen was embarrassed in history. He was insulted. And I would just like to conclude my lecture today by pointing out a very short story about Syed ibn Jawzi. Syed ibn Jawzi was a scholar. He was a very renowned and a very famous scholar. And you know that Amir al-Mu'mineen had a very famous phrase. What was that? Saluni qabla an tafqiduni. Ask me before you lose me. Before I'm not there amongst you. Ask me anything. This is what Amir al-Mu'mineen used to claim. He used to sit on the minbar and nobody other than other A'immas and the infallibles could claim such a thing. It was only Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam. And anybody who tried to imitate Amir al-Mu'mineen was embarrassed. And Syed ibn Jawzi came one day and he claimed that Saluni qabla an tafqiduni. Ask me whatever you want to ask. And people were sitting over there and he was giving his dars and lecture. And there was a woman. People started asking him different questions and there was a woman. She was the lover of Imam Ali and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam. She stood up and she asked a question. Do I have the right to ask a question? She was given the permission. She asked a question. Now, listen to this very carefully and very important. In a very short story, you will get a very important point. She says that, I want to confirm something. If you can, please confirm this. She asked Syed ibn Jawzi, who was claiming what Amir al-Mu'mineen claimed. See how people are embarrassed when they try to imitate Amir al-Mu'mineen. In a bad way, in a bad sense. So, she asked that, can you confirm that when Uthman died and Muslims came and killed, it was Muslims who came and killed Uthman. Muslims came and killed Uthman and left his body in the street lying for 3 days and nobody came and buried him. Is it true? Is this what happened in history? He said, yes, this is what happened in history. She again said, I want to ask one more thing. He said, okay, go on. She said that I have heard that the Rasul's companion, Salman Muhammadi, he died in the city of Madain, which is in Iraq, close to Baghdad. And Amir al-Mu'mineen was in Medina. And in those days, Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he heard that Salman died in Madain, he left Medina and went to Iraq. And he went there, he joined the ceremony of the burial ceremony, and he joined and he prayed on Salman and he gave him ghusl and he did everything, his last rites, and then he came back. Is it true that Amir al-Mu'mineen went from Medina to Madain to attend the ceremony of the burial ceremony of Salman? Syed ibn Jawzi said, yes, it's true. Then she asks, and she connects these 2 points, and she says that, then why Amir al-Mu'mineen, who can travel for one companion of Rasulullah from Medina to Madain, whereas Uthman's body was lying there in the street for 3 days, Amir al-Mu'mineen did not come out to bury Uthman. Now, why did he did not come out to bury Uthman? While we know that it is obligatory on the Muslims to bury a Muslim. Either Amir al-Mu'mineen was not a Muslim to come out and bury Uthman, or he did not consider Uthman a Muslim to come out and bury him. You get the point? And he got confused. He became angry. He got confused. He had nothing. He was dumb. He was astonished to hear this. Why? Because if he said, yes, Amir al-Mu'mineen was not a Muslim, this was going against his belief. And if he said that Usman was not a Muslim, again it would go against his belief. So he got angry and he said, "Oh, you woman, who gave you the permission to come here? Who gave you the permission to come here? If it was your husband who allowed you to come here, may Allah curse your husband that he allowed you to come here. And if it was you yourself who came here without the permission of your husband and are debating with na-mahram and with men, may Allah curse you." And then she goes on and she replies that in history, can you please tell me, in Jamal, Aisha, with whose permission came out to Jamal and she fought against Amir al-Mu'mineen and left his house? Was it with the permission of Rasulullah, or was it she coming along and battling against Amir al-Mu'mineen by herself? This is how people are insulted. And they don't have any way to go. They don't have any way to turn around. And today, because I mentioned this instance because it was the 17th of Ramadan when Aisha actually died. And today is 17th of Ramadan, and it was the Hijrah, 58 Hijri, when she died, and it was Muawiyah who killed her. Sunnis have a different version, but what we believe is true is that Muawiyah killed her. Khalul Mu'mineen is killing Ummul Mu'mineen, and both of them are radiyallahu anh. Both of them are respected. This is the height of hypocrisy. How can you believe this? And there is in history that Muawiyah, he got angry with Aisha, and he decided to kill her, and he invited her and dig a pit and put this limestone in it and installed spheres in this and covered that pit with a carpet and put a chair on there, and he invited Aisha and asked her to sit over there, and as soon as she sat there, she went down and he poured water, and you know when you pour water on limestone, it starts boiling and burning. And this is how she died. And this is how he killed her. And Aisha, and all through her life, she was the enemy of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And she named the killer of Amir al-Mu'mineen Abdul Rahman. And she loved Abdul Rahman and said, "I love him because he is the killer of Amir al-Mu'mineen." Abdul Rahman bin Muljim al-Muradi. This is how she had this hasad and had this hatred towards Amir al-Mu'mineen. These were the people. These are the people in front of us. We need to discuss them. We need to understand them better. People fighting amongst themselves. Power-hungry people want to just claim the throne, which is not. They actually turned the designation of prophethood and caliphate into throne and kings, and they started ruling these people and started fabricating. This is how they actually brainwashed these people. And she was one of the high copies, and Muawiyah was one of. This is how you understand the high copies. And we have so fair differences between these people. Now, my approach towards all this discussion is that we should have a scholarly debate. Not going after calling names and all. And let the decision and let people decide for themselves. Why are we following Amir al-Mu'mineen like this? And why others are not following Amir al-Mu'mineen? If this is true, and this is the version of Islam which they are presenting, which I call as the high copy, and we are going towards the original form, then why not take up the original form and pay the price? Are you afraid to pay the price? We are paying the price. So I would like to conclude here by just praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ma'rifat of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enlighten our hearts with the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the courage to speak out the truth and to defend the original Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala count us from amongst the companions of Imam Zamana Ajjallah ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasten the reappearance of Imam Zamana Ajjallah ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام عليك يا نبي الله، السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك رحمة للعالمين، السلام عليك يا سيدي ومولاي يا أمير المؤمنين، سيد الوصيين، قائد الغر المحجرين إلى جنات النعيم. السلام عليك سيدي ومولاتي يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا أبا محمد الحسن بن علي المجتبى. السلام عليكم أئمة البقيع جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك منا جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقينا وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد منا لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا شهداء كربلاء وأسراء كربلاء، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبو الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين والعقيلة زينب وأم كلثوم وسكينة ورقية جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا ابن مولاي، السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلطان أبا الحسن علي بن موسى أيها الرضا، كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء. السلام عليك وعلى آبائك السبعة وعلى أبنائك الأربعة وعلى أختك فاطمة المعصومة، رزقنا الله في الدنيا زيارتكم وفي الآخرة شفاعتكم، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا صاحب العصر والزمان، سيدي الأمان 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 من فتن الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان، السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك ويسهل الله تعالى مخرجك، ويجعلنا من عوانك وأنصارك واللائدين تحت لوائك وآخذين أثار الحسين تحت رايتك والمستشهدين بين يديك. والسلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.